Welcome to our K12 Education Trends and ICT Application webinar. We thank you for being here. I'm Pablo Betancourt, Business Lead for Education in Huawei, and I will be your host today. As you know, countries in Europe are pushing forward the digital strategies and plan, and these goals also include K12 education. The main idea is to fulfill the need for high-speed connectivity in schools and to find new ways to enhance the learning experience from children. With the right technologies, students can experience personalized interactive learning and making much easier for the kids to learn science and math. In addition to that, the teachers can be really sure that the children are getting the competencies needed to succeed in the growing digital economy. Today, our panelists are going to share their experience with education platforms, connectivity, and interactive whiteboards. So we are glad to welcome Mr. Felix F. Lane, Head of Sales at Enterprise Communications and Services, Mr. Paulo Costa, VP of Sales at Critical Links, and Mr. Gerd Gross, Senior Solution Manager in Huawei. So without any additional introduction, we welcome Mr. Felix F. Lane to start his presentation. Thank you.
So, hello everyone. I am happy to meet you today. My name is Felix Elflein. I am the Sales Director of ECS, Enterprise Communications and Services. ECS is one of the largest German IT service providers with a long history in the telecommunication industry with together Siemens. 2 years ago, we decided to strongly expand our business unit's network technology. Since then, we have been very successful together with Huawei, especially in the public and in the healthcare sector. Today, we are proud to say that over 40,000 students and teachers use our network solutions in German schools every day. Digital education and modern equipment in schools have been ignored in Germany for a very long time. According to a study from 2018, only 35% of teachers say that digital media support the learning process. 2/3 of the respondents said that it was not yet apparent to them that the use of digital media had a positive effect on the learning process. In addition to the lack of commitment on the part of policymakers to digital upgrade schools, there has also even a lack on the readiness on the part of educators to teach digital content for a long time. In Germany, digital media are most frequently used in a frontal teaching for presentations of informations. For example, with the help of a beamer or a smartboard. The possibilities of internet-based collaboration are not used by teachers. For example, when pupils work together in teams on texts or collect data on a topic at learning site outside the school. Germany is far behind internationally in this area. The inadequate teaching of digital skills has a negative impact at the latest when entering professional life. Consequently, the social and economic risks are enormous. For this reason, the German federal government adopted the Digitalpakt Schule investment program in 2018. This came into force in 2019. Prior to this, the German constitution had to be amended specifically for this purpose, as the financing and responsibility for education is originally a matter for the federal states. This law is the first time in Germany history that the federal government has directly intervened in a state matter. In total, the federal government is making 5 billion euros available for 5 years. The financial resources are to be used to modernize and expand the IT infrastructure of schools, to purchase digital learning materials, and to develop new pedagogical concepts. 5 billion euros sounds a lot, But for comparison, for the rescue of the German aviation company Lufthansa, the federal government spent 9 billion euros. About 120,000 euros are available per school. Therefore, the federal states and the city supplements the funding from their own budgets. There are many challenges in planning and implementing network projects. The non-technical problems often are more serious than technical ones. This has to do with the complex relationship between the founding agency, the client, the school authority, and the demand side. All interest groups have to be reconciled. As a service provider, you are the contract person for all of them. Therefore, a high level of knowledge in handling public contracting authorities is absolutely necessary. Procurement is carried out almost exclusively through public procurement procedures. Consequently, in addition to technical excellence, formal suitability is also an important basic requirement, also typical for Germany. Since the projects and plans take place all over Germany in the same time frame, the demand and the order duration are enormous. This does not only affect IT service providers, but above all electrical contractors who are commissioned with upgrading the cable infrastructure. Therefore, flexible handling and fast reaction times are to be seen as a condition. It is not uncommon for several thousand exit points to have to be rolled out and configured within a few weeks. In a project in North Rhine-Westphalia, we pre-configured about 500 access switches or over 500 access switches within 5 days. As a service provider, you therefore need a mix of know-how and manpower. The preparation and implementation of projects is very slow due to typical German administration. The latest report by the federal states on the outflow of funds by end 2020 shows that the money from the Digitalpakt Schule is now increasingly reaching the schools and being used to build a digital infrastructure. However, this is very different in the federal states. By myself, I come from Thuringia. In my home state, not a single euro had been invested by the end of 2020, and only 29 million euros have been registered for 2021. As already mentioned, the technical challenges are less sore, but still not more than less. Some federal states, for example, Bavaria or Niedersachsen, have definite minimum technical criteria. This ensures that the minimum level of technical requirements, especially in the states with these technical requirements, we are very successful because this prevents that cheap suppliers like Ubiquiti or TP-Link from offering dubious solutions. With the combination of technical excellence and fair prices, we are in the pole position with Huawei. The future viability of the infrastructure is a high priority for us. With every project and every solution, we make a promise to the future and to our clients. That is why we pay attention to large bandwidths, long durability, and high standards when selecting components. In all projects, we are really on Wi-Fi 6 access points and often also on multi-gigabit access switches to establish the uplink between 5 and 10 gigabits between WLAN and access area. High streaming rates or the management of many users in a small place are therefore possible without any problems. The network we build are usually completely neutral in terms of service they are used. We therefore have a possibility to connect different school software solutions. With the iMaster NCE management system and the integrated API interface, we are even able to develop integrations by ourselves. We have identified the operational concept as the most important point. Often the schools authorities and the schools do not have the competence and resources to enable the operation of the new infrastructure by themselves. With the iMaster NCE and further integrations, we therefore have a leading role as a service provider. This gives us further business opportunities and gives the client a good feeling, because as their support of their solution is in professional hands. Finally, I would like to present you a successful project. In 2020, we won the bid from the Diepholz district, or called Landkreis Diepholz, to equip 90 schools for 1.3 million euros. Due to political reservations about Huawei, the award process was very hard. After a lawsuit, an awarding court ultimately decided that Huawei and ECS were legally entitled to the award. Even the highest German cybersecurity authority got involved and certified that ECS and Huawei had a secure solution in the sense of this pupil. In the meantime, we have already rolled out 1,500 access points and implemented the central management system. The district of Diepholz is playing a great pioneering role in Germany, because the district administration has brought all cities and all schools authorities together. There is a central and uniform solution for all 90 schools. The management is taken over by a separate team of the IT department in the district office. In total, more than 60% of the cost could be saved compared to an individual procurement. We are very proud to be involved in this project. So I hope I've been able to give you a small overview. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, I will be available in the chat afterwards. You are welcome to contact me later. You can find our contact details here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Felix. Thank you for the great presentation. Now I will be presenting you about the connectivity. So the first thing we need to be clear is, like, from the European Union, actually the digital education plan includes two main strategies. One is to fostering the development of high-performance digital education ecosystems. Inside this goal, there is something related to the connectivity for schools, infrastructure, connectivity, and digital equipment. Maybe you are from schools joining this webinar, maybe you are partners, or maybe you are customers. So I want you to be aware of these kind of goals from the government. The second thing is enhancing digital skills and competencies for the digital transformation. This is basic digital skills and competency from early age. It means for develop this kind of IT or these kind of skills in children. So the framework or the main idea we have in as Huawei as a company, the approach is, you can see this triangle, okay? We have like 3 bases and also all centered in the cloud. We have in one side all the devices, and we have on the right side all the contents. As you see, we have interactive platforms, which today our partner but also help us to introduce this. We have team collaboration boards. We will have an introduction of that, and intelligent connectivity, which I will be introducing just now. In the center of this, we also need some cloud, because usually for education, with all this transition during the last year, coronavirus, the cloud become more important. The data center, the storage, for keep all the information, digital information of this, to transform the education. This is the framework. Now, if we go to the application, you can see we have two parts. One part is like, okay, we have all the contents going online. So there will be a massive teaching resources. They will have videos, we will have labs, we will have ebooks. Everything needs to be centralized in some cloud in data center. So in higher level, the schools can do that. Maybe one school is difficult to implement, but several schools can do it, or even in the government level, they can actually unify these centralized uh, data centers for storage all this information. We have access terminal, we have the experience, but the main idea is the cloud to storage all this information so we can have an e-learning platform shared by different schools so you can mitigate the cost. The second thing is the intelligent connectivity. For this connectivity, usually we talk about Wi-Fi, but there are different kind of Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi 6, Wi-Fi 5, and even previous technology. We will show you how more or less to approach these new technologies. But something new is the management for these devices. Usually we implement something locally, but now there are new technologies such as SD-WAN that can help, lower the operation cost. So it's cheaper for schools to implement this kind of new Wi-Fi technologies. And at the end, also we have IoT, like RFID, Bluetooth, Zigbee inside the same Wi-Fi device. So you can implement additional applications in your case. As you can see, the Wi-Fi will help you to connect tablets, computer, and interactive whiteboards. So as I mentioned, for Wi-Fi 6 technology, so what is the difference between this and all technologies, or how we can use this technology for immersive education in this case? You see in this slide, we have some comparison of different kind of requirements. For example, when you have a 4K conference, you have different bandwidth, you need 70 megabytes, you need a latency less than 100. But for immersive education, let's say we want to implement new technologies using AR and VR, virtual reality or alternative reality. We need a lower latency, 10 milliseconds. And there are other applications, for example, in factories, but we are not going to mention here, yeah? But they have similar requirements. As you see in the table below, for example, let's say we are going to implement AR, VR for immersive education. The requirements are bandwidth 100 megabytes, latency 10 to 20 milliseconds, and we have the maximum amount of terminals. We can support 50 or even more, depending on the bandwidth configured. If we compare technologies, for wired technology, maybe AR, VR is not possible, right? Because we need the wireless connectivity. Wi-Fi 6 don't meet the requirements of bandwidth and also the latency. With Wi-Fi 5, for Wi-Fi 6, we can meet this requirement for immersive education. And when we think in those projects, actually, we don't think just now, but in the future. So the idea is to implement technologies that will help you to advance and bring new end devices for the children to interact. So that's the main idea with this kind of intelligent connectivity. Now, the product portfolio includes several equipments, and this will depend on different necessities from customers or even the scenarios. So for Huawei, we have a fully wireless network connectivity, or product line we call Air Engine Wi-Fi 6. And as you see, we have different devices, different configuration, and different bandwidth. You can see the bandwidth can be from 1.7G to 6G, or even to 10G with this new device, the Air Engine 8760, which is the fastest Wi-Fi in the market now. Some additional features is like you can reach greater distance, 20% more. You can have lossless roaming in case you don't want to have one AP for classroom, but instead maybe in one floor. So you don't have for mobile office, you don't lose the connectivity. Another one is the 50% higher concurrency. It means more users in the connecting by each AP. In fact, the amount of users we can support is more than 200, by a single app of these devices. Now, when we talk about the Wi-Fi, we think it's just one, the simple device maybe in the ceiling. But in fact, when we talk about Wi-Fi, there are so many other technologies behind this. For example, we call all this is Cloud Campus 3 because it's already our third version. As I mentioned, these technologies include software-defined ones. So what's the difference or what's the idea? When we have one classroom, okay, you need one connectivity, one Wi-Fi. But when you have the whole school, you have different classroom, different equipment, many of these AP connected to a central network. And this central network usually have some switch and routers behind it. And then you do the management. The traditional way is you do the management by each school. So one school have, let's say, 200 APs, 10 routers, or how many switches managing this network. But one school by itself, maybe the operation cost can be very higher to really manage this network. So with SD-WAN, which is software-defined network for one wide area networks, the idea is you can do the management and operation of different schools. Let's say you are a partner, or you are in the district level, you want to do the management for 50 schools. So you can do using one software. So this is one feature. You can use the cloud management. It means one platform for all the schools in the district, as example. You can lower the operation cost 90%. You can cloud management. So the idea is to manage several schools at the same time. You can save the operation cost up to 50%. Another thing is the one global network. This means, because you can do the management itself, in one district, or even high, not only one district. Let's say you have a city level. Let's say you are a partner. You want to do this as a service for your clients for different schools. You can also implement and reduce your costs when you participate in this kind of projects. So we mentioned you have a 40% internet cost saving. And finally, you have a fully wireless network with the new equipment, as I mentioned before, which have very high bandwidth. So the customer will be happy now. And the idea is for support the new technologies in future. That's why I mentioned before the requirements for AR and VR, because we are not thinking just in now, but in the 4 to 10 years, you can have the support technology for these kind of projects. So why choosing Huawei? So let's say there are 4 reasons. One is because Huawei actually have contributed a lot for the Wi-Fi 6 standards. And the second point is we actually have a good market share, regarding the switch and router, which are behind in this infrastructure that we don't see in each school. Globally, we are number 2 for switches in the last 5 years, so which we are in a good benchmark. The second thing is regarding the Net Engine, which is the cloud management platform, because for the SDN you need, for the SD-WAN you need this kind of software. So we are number 1 in the market in the last year. And finally, we have implemented this kind of technology in networks that have more than 190,000 users, and we have implemented Wi-Fi 6 projects, using this SD-WAN technology, more than 1,500 globally. So that's why you need to choose Huawei, because we are very, we have contributed standard. We are getting big part of the market. Finally, before I go, at the beginning I show you what's our vision, only a triangle, but this is because we are talking about, let's say, basic education. But if we think in a higher view, we will see there are many additional technologies in the whole education framework, not just for education, not just for basic education. So here you can see complete framework for new technologies as AI, or even digital ecosystem is very important, because, as you will see in our presentation later, the platform is key for the children to really implement. Connectivity is the support, the base support for this. And then we have e-classroom and other applications that really need to be integrated in the education framework. That's all from my side. Thanks a lot. This is my contact details for anything you need. And if you have any questions, please ask in the chat. So for the next speaker, we will have Paulo Costa.
Thank you, Pablo. Let me just share my screen. Okay, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks, Huawei, for the invitation. I'm Paulo Costa. I'm VP Sales at Critical Links. And today I will present a solution and a platform to help schools in the digitalization process. We have many challenges when we talk about schools digitalizing their learning process. We have the beyond bring your own device challenge that puts a lot of pressure in the internet of the school and the infrastructure. Since we have more and more students with devices and demanding internet connectivity and infrastructure, the schools need to be prepared to offer an infrastructure that supports all the students being connected and consuming content, and even what Pablo have mentioned, the immersive education, augmented reality, virtual reality, things that will still come. The schools need to be prepared for that. But then when you put this infrastructure, then you need to take care of the liability, the security, what are the kids going to do into this internet connection, and how you give some focus to the kids if they are open to the internet. And then how do you manage all that stuff? You have a lot of infrastructure, you have a lot of devices. How do you manage these efficiently? What are the policies that you are going to use in order to manage the usage of all the resources? How you give continuity, because you have the students at their home. Now we are talking about hybrid education. So you need to make sure that you have a continuity. You cannot keep changing the solution every year. And of course, COVID bring new challenges and showed that most of the schools were not prepared to go online. So COVID imposed and showed that many schools have a lot of challenges in terms of using technology. What we have in terms of solution and what we push is the C3 microcloud. The C3 microcloud creates a microcloud inside the school, and it's intended to overcome some of the infrastructure challenges that the schools are going to have. With more and more services being based in the cloud, the connectivity is under pressure. So the idea is that you unload a bit of the internet traffic by putting local resources. So you have like a local library and applications library where the students can access locally to unload some of the pressure that you are putting over the internet connectivity. We are going to optimize the connectivity. We are going to offer filtering and caching capabilities over HTTP and HTTPS to make sure that you take the most of the connectivity available. With new technologies like augmented reality, virtual reality, the demand for bandwidth is always growing. So you need to have tools that help you to optimize the connectivity that you have available at schools. And of course, we need to have a way to standardize resources and management. Felix have mentioned how a lot of the investment that the government is doing in terms of modernize the infrastructure on Germany schools. And I think that one objective, of course, is to modernize and have a standard among all the schools. And the microcloud can help doing that because it will create a microcloud in every schools, and independently of the connectivity that they have, they will all have the same scenario. In here, just to show in a different perspective, what are the main features that we offer. The solution tries to offer a platform where we make available a digital library to the students, where you can have all the content that you want to make available. You can have a video library, you can have books, digital content, maps, and then we have what we call an app hub, where we place the applications that are most used by the students. So we have the LMS, we have the SIS, School Information System, we have all the applications that we want to make available inside the school. And then unloading the pressure over the internet by using local resources, we can improve the connectivity and the speed of the internet by accelerating it with caching, by filtering what are the students able to see over the internet connection. And with those two solutions, we are going to guarantee that the teacher and the students will have high quality access to the resources, being those local or even the cloud services. So we make sure that all the students and teachers are going to have a good user experience when they are accessing the digital tools. And I always like to do this just to give you a perspective of what we're talking in terms of a solution. The idea is that using Huawei servers, we can easily create a local cloud inside the schools that will quickly enable a number of platforms inside the school. And we allow the students to quickly get content and navigate through this content, no matter is the internet connectivity that they have available. And we can, of course, the idea is that it works pretty fast, no matter how many students you have connected. And then we have an app hub, and the idea of the app hub is to make sure that we have several applications, the applications that we want to use with our kids, and we can work with this without create additional pressure over the internet. And of course, it was already mentioned, one important thing when we are talking about deploying solutions at the school is that we have a way to manage this from the cloud. And we offer the solution to manage all those microclouds that are placed in the schools from a centralized dashboard. So we can see all the microclouds that are available in each school. We can click and see details of those microclouds. We can determine what is the version, what is the disk usage, what are the contents that are available in this microcloud, what are the applications that is available, and of course analytics about the usage, how the users are using this microcloud, what are the type of content, the type of applications that they are using into their day-to-day activities. So the idea is that with that, deploying this into the school, we are going to be able to provide students with a very efficient and quality user experience when going to consume the content, the learning management system, and even the internet and cloud services, because we are optimizing the connectivity. There are many schools that went completely to cloud solutions, and with more and more students and devices, they are facing challenges to provide enough bandwidth for those students. By deploying a solution like this, you kind of unload a bit of the demand over cloud services, and you can have the students and teachers having a better user experience. Of course, with the remote administration. And another thing that is good to mention, it's not all, but there are schools that sometimes does not have a broadband connection. Sometimes we have remote schools that has only a lower bandwidth, could be satellite, 4G, or even a cablet connection that is lower than 100 megabits. On those places with a lot of students sharing this connectivity, a solution like the microcloud is needed in order to provide users with local resources. And just to explore a bit more about this, some customers and partners ask me if we are trying to replace the cloud. No, we are not trying to replace the cloud. And we are not competing with the cloud. It's not a matter of local server versus cloud server. We are promoting here that we should have both. We should have a local server that will create a microcloud inside the school to unload the pressure on the internet and make sure that all the students can use the cloud services with a better experience. So our proposition is that the schools should have both systems in order to have an efficient infrastructure. There are many solutions on applying the microcloud strategy. First is that it works in any scenario. It doesn't matter any school size, for any internet speed availability that you may have on that school. It helps to create some security. We have cases where they have small kids that they do not want to open the internet for those kids. So they use what we call closed loop education. They just open a local server with curated content, and the kids are not going to go to the internet because of the liability of that. The school is responsible for everything that the kids do on the internet when they are in the school. So a good way to secure, mainly for small kids that do not know how to deal with internet, is of course to put them in a bubble that is completely secure. Another important thing is to create standardization and equality among all the schools. The speed of the connectivity and the bandwidth that they have available. Another advantage is making sure that if you are applying and distributing microclouds to all the schools, that you have a way to manage this from the cloud. And of course, the solution is plug and play, very intuitive and simple to use and to deploy. And just to finalize, I want to share with you all a success case that we have done together with Huawei in Paraguay. We have worked with the local government to help them digitalize over 2,500 schools. Another 500 is in process to be expanded. But right now we are already impacting 1 million students. The solution uses a C3 microcloud platform deployed in a Huawei Fusion Cube that includes already the server and the UPS. Then we have Huawei switches and the Huawei Air Engine to provide the Wi-Fi. And with that, we are enabling a very modern and efficient infrastructure in every school in Paraguay. Those schools, some schools have a very good connectivity, but some schools have a very low bandwidth. With this type of solutions, we guarantee that all the schools are going to have at least a minimum framework, a content repository, tools and applications that will be available to all the students, the speed of the bandwidth that they have available. This allows to create methodologies with the teachers that will work everywhere, not only on a few schools that have 1 gigabit connectivity. And that in most of the cases are just a few schools that are connected with this type of internet connectivity. So the idea in here is that we bring solutions to help the schools to deal with the demand that we have nowadays for connectivity, for cloud services, and to create a way to unload a bit of the pressure that we put over the internet connection. I thank you all for the opportunity to present our solution in here. It will be my pleasure if any of you have any question. Here you have my contact information if you need to contact me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Paulo. Very interesting. Also very interesting to see the different elements, Wi-Fi 6, micro cloud. What I will present today is the Idea Hub, which is a audio video end terminal that can be used in classrooms and education, but also in enterprises. I'm participating here from the Idea Hub, just to give you a quick impression of how the device behaves before I show you a quick introduction of the technical specs. One of the main differences between the Idea Hub and the competitors is that the Idea Hub is extremely easy to use. It has an inbuilt artificial intelligence, and it will adapt to rooms and to speakers. I'm here in a middle-sized room. If we imagine there would be several participants which are not due to COVID, let me go to another seat and see what happens. I'm now here 6 meters away from my previous seat. What you see, what happens is the camera automatically identifies me as the speaker. It focuses on me, it zooms on me, and the microphone perfectly picks up my voice at 6 meters, and we can go further than that. So the Idea Hub is a very simple to use, place it and forget it device for audio video conference uses, and can be very well used in educational scenarios. So, with that said, let me give you a few insights into the Idea Hub. We have a portfolio with 3 main models. We have an Idea Hub S, Idea Hub Pro, and Idea Hub Board. The S and the Pro models are specifically designed for enterprise applications. The Idea Hub Board is a new device that we launched in March this year, which is aimed at educational purposes. It is a design-to-cost device, which fits better into schools' budgets. As we learned, the budgets can be quite limited, and it also has no camera, which means in applications where the schools do not want to use cameras, this is the perfect device. The Idea Hub Board exists in 2 screen sizes, 65-inch, which is suited for smaller rooms, and 86-inch, which is usually used for classrooms. And both can be integrated into existing other mounts, can be used with the roll stand that you see here on the left, or can be bolted to the wall. As many other boards, the Idea Hub supports whiteboard functionality, digital signature or kiosk modes. It is perfect for audio video streaming, so there is absolutely no reason to have projectors or similar in the classroom anymore. And it is beautifully suited for remote conferencing for the educational situation that we have at this moment. It works with each and any of the known clients, Teams, Zoom, and whatever, but also with the browser-based applications that have been shown in this webinar before, or that schools specifically designed for their needs if they have extended needs for data privacy. And finally, the Idea Hub comes with a wireless projection so that you can project from any device in the classroom to the big board. On top of that, we have some unique selling points. Firstly, the Idea Hub is a completely open device. There are no limitations on what software you can run on it or how you can configure it. The wireless projection comes at no cost at all and is working on macOS, on Windows 10, Android, and iOS devices. And finally, the Idea Hub also has an inbuilt artificial intelligence chip, which helps with handwriting recognition, helps with audio processing, and helps to set the camera focus automatically, as I just mentioned to you. We see the Idea Hub as an all-in-one device. There is two advantages. It is extremely easy to use for the teacher. He can just focus on his teaching and he has one device to use. No external cables, no external boxes, no third-party applications that don't run. And secondly, in case something goes wrong, the maintenance is much easier as everything is contained in this one and only device. If, however, you have some need to connect external microphones, external cameras, external speakers, that is all possible with the connectivity that is provided behind the device. As I demonstrated you very quickly, the Idea Hub automatically adapts to any sort of rooms, to open spaces, to large meeting rooms, to small meeting rooms, to offices. There is no need for site surveys, no need for special installations. You can just roll it into a room, connect it to the power, and it will be working. Inside the Idea Hub, we have two independent computers. We have an Android 9 computer system that is an integral part of the Idea Hub, on which you can install your own Android applications, and you can benefit from the Huawei application gallery. And there is an optional Windows 10 OPS lighting PC, which allows you to run each and any Windows-based applications that you are using on other devices and that you may think of. The OPS PCs comes with all the security features that you know from your other Windows devices. We have a trusted platform chip. We can provide you a hardened Windows operating system, and all the video clients that you know, be it Teams, Zoom, WebEx, or any other, run perfectly on the OPS PC and run exactly in the same way that you know from your laptop or from your Windows tablet. So there is no need to learn anything new, and you will feel immediately comfortable with the Idea Hub. The inbuilt whiteboard is benefiting from the artificial intelligence chip. We have a handwriting recognition, so any text that you write by hand can be converted into characters automatically. The same is true for graphical shapes like squares, circles, triangles, lines, tables, which helps a lot in the readability of what you draw on a line on a whiteboard. The sharing, as I mentioned to you, is available for MacBooks, for Windows PCs, for Android devices, and for iOS devices. And it works perfectly. We also provide what we call the reverse control, and our competitors call write back or ink back, meaning that when you project from your device to the big board, you can stand at the big board, use the touch panel, and control your device. So you can control a presentation or a document that you have open on your laptop and perfectly show it standing in front of the Idea Hub. We took great care to use high quality inbuilt components. The Idea Hub is coming from our enterprise business line, and the video camera and the microphone array are highest quality devices. The 4K camera helps to work perfectly in low light and high light environments. So there is no problem anymore for a teacher standing in front of a screen and having the sun coming from his back. And there is no problem to have very good noise-free images in low-light classrooms. The microphone array helps us to locate speakers in the room, and it also can be used to have speakers as far away as 8 meters from the ID hub board. It will suppress noise efficiently, and you can also narrow down the microphone's beam in order to cut out ambient noise from the left or from the right. In this way, you can create a virtual meeting room in 3 open spaces and only have the speaking people picked up and no noise from lateral noise sources. The speaker tracking I showed you before I started the slides, it makes sure that the camera always focuses on the speaking person. And by this, in an audio-video conference situation, you can always understand who is speaking. And also you can see his face enlarged, and that brings you very, very close to an actual real face-to-face meeting. One thing to mention is that the ID Hub is a dual-use device. As I explained to you, it can be used for audio-video conferencing or for classroom teaching, but it also is a perfect device for data visualization on large screens with complex data. You can show a lot of different things on the big screen, and there is no need to change screens to zoom in, to zoom out. It makes it a perfect device for education as well as for healthcare and enterprise and financial applications. In schools, we see it used not only in classrooms, but also when there is a need between the teachers to do video conferencing. This here is an example of an enterprise application where we run a SAP digital board for digital visualization on 3 big idea hubs. Lastly, I would like to show you how the idea hub positions price-wise in the market. We see the 65-inch Pro and S models positioned well below the corresponding enterprise models from Cisco and Microsoft. We see the Huawei Idea Hub board positioned right in the middle of its competitors, Promethean, Flip, and whatever is used. But that said, the Huawei Idea Hub board is an enterprise-grade device with much higher levels of casing. We have metal casing, we have a very sturdy build quality, and that at a very affordable price. And last not least, you see the 86-inch large devices, again, well below the competitors' pricing. So with the Idea Hub, you have a very powerful device at a very affordable price. With that said, I would like to thank you. If you have any questions, then please contact us. You have my contact details here. You'll also find me on LinkedIn. And please bear with us. We will switch over now to the Q&A session, which will take a couple of seconds. And then the floor is yours to ask questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerd. Thank you, Gerd, for the great presentation. So we have so many questions I see in the chat. I will just select some of them. It's a very active session. Actually, the first question is, I think is more related to Felix. From your experience, what are the main challenges you face during the deployment of digital transformation projects in education? Maybe Felix, yeah, he have the experience in this kind of deployment in Germany. He can give us some lights in this kind of, yeah.
Yes, I also answered it in the chat box, but I can give a little introduction. The most important things is to keep an overview and to combine the educational goals, maybe from teachers, with the what is technically possible. And it is also important to prove that you can handle this high level of responsibility, for example, the security and data protections. Of course, you also need a strong partner and supplier behind you. I think we have very strange partners with Huawei and our distributor Comsa. And I think these are the important facts for us.
Thank you, Felix. Yeah, you are right. We need a good ecosystem, a good cooperation, because it's not only technology, but the ecosystem and the partners to reach the market. Thank you, Felix. I have, let me check. There are a lot of questions here. I see another one interesting here. Okay, what can we expect from the futures? Yeah, okay, maybe I think this is more directed to Paulo. He's more related to platform. What can we expect from education solutions in the coming years? What should schools to be prepared? Maybe Paulo could help me with that.
Yeah. Sure. I think that in the next years we are going to see an increased usage in technology on education. If we compare education with other segments, health, transportation, we see that the education is not using technology as much as in other segments. And the COVID showed the importance of the digital skills, not only for the students, but for the teachers as well. So what I see is that we are going to have an increased usage of technology in education. We are going to have hybrid learning, where the students can attend partially from their homes. And the schools, what they need to do in order to be prepared is to really invest on their infrastructure. If they want to support all the technology, all the information, they need to have an infrastructure that supports all the students being connected at the same time, that they have ways to optimize internet connectivity, that they have platforms, and that they have continuity. They should not keep changing platform solutions every year. So the schools needs to start right now, and this is a challenge that will impose a lot of pressure on the schools.
Thanks, Paulo. Yeah, you are right. The platform is key for students to really, learn, especially now, digital skills. This is key for not only, for some countries, but at whole Europe level. This is a focus for the future. They want to actually, improve the children's skills, so in the future they can be, prepared for enter the digital economy. This is very key. Is 11:58. I think there's a last question. Let me see. Okay, we can answer this. What are your advices to improve the learning experience in schools? I saw many questions here regarding this. I believe as Huawei, in fact, we have support several projects globally at Euro level, since we are basically based in Western Europe. We have developed projects in in Spain, in France, Italy, Germany, and so on. And I think the first step perhaps is improve the connectivity, because we need to actually help the children to get digital skills. So you need access devices, but before access devices, you need to have connectivity into the internet so they can interact. So as Paulo present and also Felix, these platforms need internet connection, and as well you also need, in fact, you can have cloud, just a cloud in the micro cloud inside the schools, which is can use Huawei devices to run the applications, so you can alleviate the pressure in the internet as well, or have end devices, high-end devices such as VR, AR. In this case, Huawei, we don't have this kind of devices, but we have partners. I saw someone ask this question. We can later send you a message. And finally, also like Idea Hub, as my colleague Gerd introduced, which is a device that can help children, also teachers, to involve, to involve with the IT. In fact, I saw statistics that mention as Europe level, more than 40% of the teachers don't feel prepared to migrate to a fully IT, environment in the classroom. So sometimes we think, okay, we are so new, but you need to take in account some teachers are not so young, so this is also an important factor we need to take in account. I thank you, everyone. I thank Paulo, Felix, Ger, and all the people in the who joined our webinar. I don't want to extend. We try to keep it for 1 hour. Now we have a survey in the screen. You can see. It would be great if you help us to vote, and maybe we can check in future additional requirements, and we can understand you as customer partners, how can we help you in the future. Now on, we will be mute here, and thanks a lot for joining.